legs up the slide. It's okay if the feet dangle off the edge, but you do want the back side of your thighs and knees being supported. And if for whatever reason, maybe you're wearing slick clothing and your feet are wanting to slide off to the sides, you can turn your heels towards each other, turn your toes away, and usually that helps to prevent that. Feel free to close and rest your eyes. And take time to still your body. Even if your mind may be fluttering with thoughts. We are presently in the tailwind, so to speak, of the most recent full moon that occurred over the weekend. Full moons not only illuminate the sky and send light down here to Earth, but that particular phase of the month is also a time where it highlights certain things within our own internal awareness. Or things may be highlighted on your path in life. So maybe ponder for a moment in the last number of days. Is there anything new showing up? And perhaps it's not something new, perhaps it's something habitual that you've determined that you want to release and let go of. The full moon is an excellent time to release and to surrender something. And it's also a time to become re-inspired, to notice what has been culminating around you. This particular full moon was in Sagittarius, the centaur that holds the bow. And think about if you were holding a bow and you were about to send out the arrow, you would be very focused and intentional on where you wanted to aim it. And this particular full moon is encouraging us to aim ourselves and our actions and our intentions towards what we see for our destiny. This inversion is going to be very helpful in calming and cooling the mind, body, and nervous system. And it can be quite helpful during this time of the month when our sleep can either become disrupted, when our emotions may get riled up. Equally, you could send the legs up to Stonehenge or to a chair or up the wall to benefit. So we're starting off the practice this way, and we're going to end the practice in the queen pose or the royal pose, where we'll be turning the body around and being reclined on the bolster with the spine. For now, I want you to take some deep diaphragmatic breaths. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose unless you need your mouth. Feeling the lungs expand as you inhale And contract and release that air on the exhale. So Heather just walked outside because she was starting to cough. And when we have allergies and some respiratory stuff going on, even if we're no longer sick, when we lie on the back, it can cause us to cough. So if you're ever coming into practice, and that's the case for you, instead of sitting the legs up and your back down, you could do the reverse. What we'll be doing at the end of practice. Or just stay sitting up. Go ahead and feed yourself a little bit more prana. Prana is not only the oxygen that we're drawing in, but the life force energy. So with each breath, know that you're helping to regenerate and rejuvenate your system. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, start to draw the knees in towards your upper body. And you can send your hands behind your thighs and knees, or you can wrap your arms in front of your shins. Dependent on what's available, dependent on your knees, of course, and how much flexion they can receive. But then I want you to fan your knees open and apart. Let your ankles soften, your toes relax. Coming into more of a tree frog shape. And then on your next exhalation, go ahead and close the gap between the knees. Roll over to one side of your body. Gently push through that top hand to rise. And then move the props to the side, or the bolster to the side, and the blocks in front of your mat. We're going to join the soles of the feet together. And we're going to do this the active way. So if you could, pull your feet in and then open the feet out like a book. Lift up through the crown of your head, and as you exhale, tip forward with the straight back. With the straight back, you're going to notice that stretch through the inseam of the legs. Sensation piping up in the hips. And if you're at least halfway down across your lap, maybe try your hand at extending your arms out in front of you, or even taking your hands to blocks even. Stretching out through the spine and the arms to go a little bit deeper. And not to the point where you feel like you're about to hold your breath. You want your breath to stay consistently flowing. Smooth and rhythmic. Affirming here as you hold. Secure in myself. I accept whatever is. Secure in myself. I accept whatever is. And then walk your hands back in towards your body. And you're going to slide your feet a little bit wider than your mat. Your feet are more forward than your knees, and you're going to hold your shins. We're going to do some seated cat-cows. So dive through and then lift and jut up your chin to gaze up as if you were diving under a wave and then coming up for air. And then as you exhale, draw the navel in, tuck the chin to the chest, straighten the arms, and push back through the shoulder blades. Inhale, moving through to cow tilt. And exhaling to your cat stretch. And then continuing this, breathing into one pose and breathing out to the counter. And a couple more rounds. Then inhale, come to the top of the sits bones, come back to the top, and this is where we're going to come up to stand. So let's go ahead and find our way to stand. We're going to come to the top portion of the mat. We're going to launch the feet down so that we're activating the legs, and bring the arms to your sides and up overhead. Lace your fingers together to this mudra, where the pointer fingers lift up towards the sky, your shoulders are hiking up towards your ears, and your arms are hugging your head. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, lean across to the right, creating Chandrasana crescent moon, and ensuring that your pelvis stays neutral. You're maintaining the natural curve of the low back and not tucking the tailbone. Affirming as you hold strength and energy. Strength and courage is feeling up my body cells. Now on your next in-breath, you're gently going to come up. You're going to step to the left facing the side wall, taking the Kali goddess position. So once you step left, your knees bend, your thighs roll out, and you're creating the moonbeam hands. All right, from here, we're going to lean forward and stack the elbows to the knees and look down towards the floor and feel as though your torso is becoming parallel with it. Your right arm is going to sweep in front of you and over to the left, over that right ear. And that, if that's too much for your shoulder or arm, you can always keep your hand to your hip. So there's always an alternative to this. Good, as you exhale, bring that right elbow back around to rest on the right knee. Take the left arm forward, circle it out over your left ear, creating another side stretch. And then on the out breath, you're bringing the fingertips down to the floor and looking down. Bringing some strength to the legs, some openness to the hips. And on your next inhale, turn your heels back behind your toes, straighten out through your legs, slide your hands back in between your feet, and then bow the head down. Now, with your head bowing down, be sure to think about whether or not you have that tendency to get vertigo. Sometimes it just happens for a short period of time. Sometimes it's just some fluid in our ears, but if that's the case, you wouldn't want to double down so much. Instead, you would want to have your fingertips out in front and lengthening through the spine or hands to blocks so that your head and heart are more level. Otherwise, you're free to fold and receive to the crown of the head, where the yogis say is the indwelling place of the moon. Affirming here, I release all of my mental burdens and barriers. Let's take the hands to the hips. Let's plow the feet down and slowly rise to the top. From here, we're going to rotate the right foot 90 degrees. We're going to lengthen the arms out shoulder height. We're going to pour out over the right leg, keeping that front leg straight, and windmill the right hand down, left arm skyward, taking triangle pose. Yes. Beautiful. So in your triangle pose, that top hand is the pinnacle, and that's usually where we're sending the energy up. That doesn't mean you necessarily have to look up. Be aware of your own neck. What works for you, what works for your balance. All right, on your next in-breath, we're gonna use that left hand to draw ourselves up to stand. We're gonna turn slightly towards the front of the room, lunge that front knee just enough to offset the left foot and turn the toes in at more of an angle. So pop it over a little bit more. So you were here, pop it there. Yes, good, now your hips are square. All right, now that we're in this position, we're gonna take the hands to the hips, and we're gonna notice if that left hip is drawn back a little bit, how does it feel when you drive it forward? And if that's too much for your SI joints, you don't have to turn to that degree. You're stacked on both heels, square hips if possible, and then reach the arms up overhead. And as you exhale, you're going to hinge forward, pushing the tailbone back, reaching the spine and the arms forward and forward and forward and out, and hold. And notice how you have to grip your feet, how you have to depend on the strength of your lower body and your core. And now release. If you need the blocks, you can bring them alongside the right ankle. If you don't want to reach for the blocks and you can't reach the floor, you can always stack your hands to your thigh or shin. Take a deep breath in, breathe it out through your mouth. Do that again, breathing in through the nose. Out with the side of the mouth. So affirming here as you hold, I give myself over to the flow of grace. Now slowly start to pick your head up, lunge that right knee, and then wiggle the left toes back, back, back. So you're coming into this type of runner's lunge. And then you're going to plant down your left palm and you're going to circle that right arm skyward. And if you just send your back, oh, it may not be as much weight in the arm. I know it's your other arm, but just to be aware. Okay. So you can always modify and drop the back knee if this becomes too much for whatever reason. Exhale, let's bring that right hand down. And this is where you may want to get your blocks, because we're going to use them as like little crutches almost to walk over to the long strip side of the mat. Your right foot is going to turn to the corner, and you're lunging into that right knee and straightening out to the left leg. Now, some of you may not need blocks at all. Like, Gloria, you don't need blocks. Good Lord, woman, you're flexible. She's like, lay down, lay down. All right, we're going to use, again, the strength of our legs. So we're not going to depend on those blocks anymore. We're going to bring the hands to prayer position at the heart. And then press through the right foot. Inhale, stand up, stretch out your arms. Now look to see how your left foot, it may not be as turned as your right, that's okay. Lunge back into the right knee, grab those blocks, walk them over or your hands over to the left, and then turn your left toes towards the corner of the mat. Your right foot can stay flat. We're moving into a side lunge called Skandasana. Make sure there's some separation between your side waist and that inner thigh. And then let's not depend on the blocks. Let's utilize the strength of the legs. Let's bring the hands to prayer position. Hold, breathe, and then inhale, straighten the left leg. Reach the arms back up, pose of Da Vinci. And then as you exhale, bring the hands down to the hips. Heel toe the feet slightly more together to bend the knees to come back to Kali Goddess. Hands to prayer position at the heart. All right, with your hands to prayer position at the heart, you're gonna lift the forearms, curl the fingers in towards your face. Good, and then slowly open the arms out and keep turning the thumbs out. Good, now bring the arms back together, pinkies roll in. Good, and slowly open it back to the sides, opening up the gates of the heart. Good, drawing it back together. And do one more. You can contract your biceps as much as you like there, and then bring the hands to the hips, slowly straighten the legs, turning the feet parallel. And then turn your right foot, step to the top of the mat. All right, from the top of the mat, discover where your blocks are, and if you think you'll need your blocks for the other side, bring them back in front. Solidify your feet, spread the toes nice and wide, activate your leg muscles, activate your core muscles, hands to prayer position at the heart. Inhale, let your arms circle wide and overhead. Relace the hands at the top to this mudra, shoulders firm up to the ears, arms hug the head. Exhale, lean to the left this time. And even notice between one side and the other, where do you have the restriction? Like on my right side, it's my waist. On my left side, it's closer to my shoulder. Completely different pockets. And just notice where it is for you. And open it up through the breath. And then inhale, coming up. Exhale, this time you're going to step right. Taking that Kali Goddess position. Now we're going to hinge forward, bring the fingertips lightly to the ground, and have more of your weight in your feet. And then lift your heels up. Thank you, Nancy. You can also use blocks. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Defining, toning the calf muscles. All right, turn your heels back behind your toes, set them down. Slide your hands back if you don't have issues with vertigo. Rock your hips just a slight bit more forward, because some of you are taking your sit bones past your ankles. And then this is better alignment. Now release all mental burdens and barriers. All right, inhale, travel the fingertips forward, straighten out through your arms, straighten out through your back, level the head with the heart. Take a moment there so you don't get lightheaded or dizzy. Stack your hands to your hips, power down through the feet, and slowly climb up to stand. Good, your left foot's gonna rotate towards the front of the room. The arms are gonna lengthen out shoulder height. You're gonna stretch out over the left leg. You're gonna windmill down to your triangle pose. And so even though we're grounding the feet and we're dependent upon the feet because that's the foundation, we're trying to bring the energy up to the peak. I like to think about the 3 points representing mind, body, spirit. You may have another value of 3 things that you want to consider here. All right, on your next in-breath, let's use that top arm to slowly come up. Relax the arms. Start to turn your torso towards the front wall, and it makes it a little easier to hop that right foot over to the side, turning the toes in, and then hands to the hips, and see if you can square the hips to make it more symmetric. Once you feel sturdy on your feet, inhale, the arms reach up overhead. Exhale, we're gonna come down a portion or halfway. But again, the feet are plowing down into the mat. Dependent upon the strength of the legs. Imagining that someone has your hands and is trying to drive you forward with your heart. All right, exhale, let's release. This is where if you need those blocks, you can bring the blocks in, but you can also rest the hands to the leg bone or rest it down to the floor. Left hip sliding back, right hip rolling towards the front. Version pyramid pose. And then from here, inhale, start to lift the head up, lunge that left knee, wiggle the right toes back, back, back. Now you're in that runner's lunge, the right hand can ground and the left arm can twist to the left. And there's less weight in that right arm and hand if you lower that back knee. So you're welcome to modify. And it may not be the work in the arm that you're trying to relieve. It may be something in the back leg that you need to relieve. Good, one more deep breath. As your left hand comes down, this is where you may want to find your blocks as little stilts for the arms. To turn the left foot to the corner of the mat, the right foot flattens down. You're coming into that Savasana, that side lunge. And you're in control of how much or little you drop towards the floor. All right, so we're going to use the strength of the legs now. Press through the feet. Bring some engagement into your core, hands to prayer. And then inhale, straighten out the left leg. Come to that pose of Da Vinci, arms reaching up and out. The right foot may not be as turned yet. That's okay. Lunge back into the left knee. Find those blocks. If you need them, walk it over towards your right foot, turning your right foot to that degree where it's facing the corner of the mat. Left leg straightens out. And then bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. Building up a little endurance here. And then inhale, straighten the right leg, lift the arms. Take that pose of Da Vinci at the top. Good, exhale, look down at your feet, heel toe them in a little closer. Bend the knees again, Kali Goddess, hands to prayer. So with your hands to prayer, this can help us be more balanced with the hands together, because we're gonna attempt, doesn't mean you have to do it, but we're gonna attempt to lift the heels here. Counting for 1, 2, 3, and lower. Good. Straighten one leg at a time, turning the heels back behind the toes. Left foot's gonna rotate towards the front of the mat. Step up to the front. Inhale the arms up overhead. Lacing the fingers together at the top. Exhale, lean left. Forward crescents to make the full. Inhale back to the top. Exhale, lean to the right. Am I having a hot flash or is it just hot in here?
It's hot in here.
Inhale to the top. Exhale, hands to prayer. Close the eyes. Salutations to the sun and to the moon, to the awakening light within us all, and to the dawning of a higher state of consciousness in all beings. Open the eyes. Inhale, circle the arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive down to your Uttanasana, your standing forward fold. Inhale, slide your hands up your legs, lengthen out through the spine, Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, gently fold down and in. Inhale, bring your arms forward as you bend the knees, coming to Utkatasana, chair position. Exhale, hands to heart as you straighten the legs. All right, we're gonna do that a couple more times. Inhale, arms circle wide and overhead. Exhale, swan dive down, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, pour back down. Inhale, knees bent, arms reach out and lift you up, Utkatasana. Exhale, legs straighten, hands to prayer. All right, last set. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, dive in, Uttanasana. In and halfway lift. Out and lower down. Bend the knees and inhale, arms reach forward and up, Utkatasana. All right, exhale, you can do one of two things. You can come up to stand, find your way to the floor, or you can bring your hands to prayer and lift your heels like we've been doing, except now the legs are more together, dropping towards a toe balance. All right, let's safely bring it on down to the floor so that we're all coming down. And I want you to bring your bolster in. Now, for those like Trisha, you're fine. That's exactly what I want you to do. How's your knee been lately? Spine cross-legged? Yeah. Okay, so this is what I want. Anybody else? You're good? Okay. So what it's gonna look like, and it's okay if you bring blocks in. I have one block on either side just in case. But it looks like this. We're gonna do a restorative pose, a back bend, but where one foot comes and slides in front of the other. So it's kind of like a cross-legged shape. And then if for whatever reason that's too much for your hips or your knees, right? The blocks are here to go underneath. So it's not reclined butterfly because this is a two-sided pose. And it's going to change according to which foot is more in front. The foot that is typically more in front is the hip that's going to receive more of an opening, more of that stretch. So it may be that you just need block under that singular side versus both. So we're incorporating a little bit of restorative work today. It's not really work though. The work with restorative yoga is just getting that just right position and just the right amount of props for it to be supportive so that you can relax. even though this shape of the legs is going to bring a little bit more sensation than maybe what you're used to. And then what I want you to do while you're resting here is to turn back to your breath. And maybe control the breath for like 3 to 7 rounds. 3 being that magical number, 7 being that spiritual number. And then once you arrive to the one that you pick, then just let the breath flow naturally. But when it flows naturally, you still want to observe it. As you're observing the breath, there's different things you might want to place your attention towards. For instance, maybe it's the readiness, the compulsion to breathe in when you need to. Maybe it's savoring that breath and just waiting and watching when the breath is ready to release. Your body's letting it go. Your observance may be carried in towards the nose area where you're feeling the air currents coming in and equally feeling it flow out. Maybe your observance is noticing the depth and how that depth changes as we relax, because it's all we need. Or you may be observant of the swelling of the belly and the ripple effect as it rolls up into your heart center and back down. And there may be other things that you're noticing. Just pay attention to where you're experiencing and how you are experiencing the breath. Now we're going to uncross and recross the feet so that the other foot is out in front. When you re-enter the pose with this different crossing, check in with your body. What does it need? And if it needs additional support, bring the blocks under one or both. And we're going to start it the same way we did the previous side by developing 3 to 7 controlled breaths. And allowing it to become more organic. Just being curious, where does your attention go now to observe the breath? Is it the same way? Or is it a different method? Restoring mind, body, and spirit. We're going to get ready for our finale. Take our final restorative pose and offering of some sound. So those doing this from home, if you could find some sound meditation to listen to. And we're going to change our positioning. So once you come out of the back bend, the first thing I want you to do is stack your hands behind you, have your knees laid out in front with your feet apart. Separate your feet a little bit more, Nancy. And you're just going to rock the knees side to side. that windshield wipe twist. And then the slide will come back into play. Now, I don't have a blanket with me, but if you roll up a blanket and put it under the knees, if you don't want it to cover your body, then you're basically going to be in this shape. Your seat is close to that bolster so that you have the support for the low back. And so just so you know, I told the earlier group this, I took all my sound bowls out of my car from doing a workshop yesterday and took it back home. And when I arrived here today, I realized these instruments are still in my car. So I was like, I should use them since they're here. Yay. So it's not the whole experience without the sound bowls, but it's something. Still nice. But I will be here the 16th of Friday night doing restorative and sound meditation with the bowls and all of the instruments. I'm going to turn this music off. You can just focus on the sound that I'm going to provide. And basically with the sound meditation, you're just listening to the sound, you're hearing the tones, and sometimes you resonate, sometimes there's a dissonance, but the sound and vibration is what you're absorbing. And remember, energy is vibration. So we're shifting energy inside your mind and body. Savoring the silence following sound. Start deep in the flow of our breath. Bending the knees next. Roll away to one side, pushing down to come up. Upright. Any comfortable seating arrangement. Checking in, seeing how you feel now. Draw your hands together to Anjali Mudra. Lies in me. Recognizes and sees. Honors and respects the light in each of you. Showing up today. And I have 2 actual workshops planned this month. It's going to be the restorative with 30-minute sound bath with the bowls included on the 16th. And the 25th, which I think is a Sunday, if not, look at the proper date. Anne and I have been doing AccuDetox for a decade, and she's having to let it go. So this is our last one that we're doing together. So if you love Anne, if you love that workshop, this may be the last opportunity. I am going to maybe, perhaps, I don't know yet, see if I can find another acupuncturist that might be willing to do it. But that was me and Anne's thing. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. So if you want to do it, this month may be the last time. And it's acupuncture through the ears, 5 points. After we do yin yoga, and then we do a long yoga nidra, which is a 45-minute guided shavasana. Yeah. It is true, but thank you. I'm like all these dates in my head. Okay.
Thanks, you guys.